Hey everybody, Aaron here to remind you that with great podcasts comes great responsibility for me to remind you that for less than the cost of red and blue spandex, you can support our show on Patreon. Just click the link below and I'll trigger the clone saga here. You know I have the max clones to do it. Thank you and enjoy the show. Excelsior! Hello, Internet, and welcome to the After Credits cast. It's been a long while. I think we've done this before, except you were in a green Power Ranger suit, and you were a bad CGI lizard. But here we go again. On today's episode, we have Ryan Toombs, a.k.a. the Vulture.
Yes! I approve.
I am Aaron Davis, the Prowler, which is no name change. That literally was his name in the movie.
Yep.
And then, here's a real shocker. We have a special guest today, Ryan.
I am shocked.
With us today is Robbie Nelson. Robbie, how you doing?
Good, man. Glad to be on with you guys.
We're glad to have you on. I hear you've been listening to the show for a little while.
Absolutely. I enjoy Marvel movies, as you know, from our chats when we used to work together at CarMax, and I feel like I can bring something to the podcast, hopefully, that will make it enjoyable for everybody.
Now, we've had our past guests have been a little back and forth on stuff. Our first one was Bo, and he did not have any comic knowledge. Troy had a little more comic knowledge. So where do you stand on your comic book knowledge here?
Well, as you know, I'm a big Batman guy, which doesn't help me today. But
no, he was the leader of the Avengers. That's what I heard.
No, sir.
However, on the Marvel side of things, I'm a huge Spider-Man guy, so that's why I asked you to let me jump in on this, which, you know, comics, I read, you know, Spider-Man comics as a kid, as well as I was big into the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s, is some of my background with this, so...
Dude, that 90s cartoon was so dope.
Exactly. You know, that one, the X-Men, it was very dope. So, I feel pretty good about my knowledge about Spider-Man, comic-wise.
I feel confident with that.
Yeah.
Did you ever check out that Spectacular Spider-Man show that was on for like 2 seasons?
Yeah, I didn't get into it. Was that the one where Neil Patrick Harris was the voice? Or something?
It might have been. It was before the most recent iteration where it was like Spider-Man and Nova and some other characters I didn't really get into. The newest one is not that good to me.
Yeah. So, no, I'm OG. Gotta go with my 90s cartoons, man.
I respect that. They had a lot of good moments. They stuck to the comics pretty strong, especially that X-Men cartoon.
Exactly.
So for those who are listening, yes, we're doing Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, if you're familiar with our YouTube channel, and I'm sure someone out there is, there has to be at least one person.
At least one person.
At least. There was an episode we did, actually, when we first started doing After Credits, which was on Spider-Man Homecoming, literally the week or two it came out. So you could consider that our first impressions. This will be our official After Credits review, sort of, if we call these reviews. I don't really know if we do. So this is our final take on Spider-Man Homecoming, and we will not talk about it again unless Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, and the Amazing movies get brought up somehow. Which, I mean, to be fair, I might talk about Spider-Man 2 down the road. That's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
I can't wait.
So, with that, gentlemen, I have some stats to get into. But Ryan, it's been 2 weeks since I heard from you. How you doing?
I'm doing fairly good. Just celebrated a birthday.
Same here!
Yeah. Happy belated birthday, by the way, sir, on air.
Happy belated birthday to you too, sir.
Man, birthday bunch right here.
Well, his was it was 2 Wednesdays ago in March, and mine was the Friday last week, but I didn't want to record that week because I didn't want to edit on my birthday, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going to record.
Hey, I understand.
Yeah, made a lot of sense.
It was a very relaxing weekend, Ryan. I hope you had a good relaxing 2 weeks as well.
I did, man. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Are you boys ready for some stats?
I am so ready for stats. Let's
do it.
All right. So, Spider-Man Homecoming was released July 7th of 2017. The director is John Watts. The writers were John Francis Daly and Jonathan M. Goldstein, or Goldstein, depends on how you pronounce that. Starring Tom Holland, Marissa Tomei, our favorite boy Robert Downey Jr., Tony Revolori, I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that, Donald Glover, love that man, Michael Keaton, aka the man who was the Bat, Zendaya, and Jon Favreau. I'm pretty sure I missed a few names. These are the first names that were on the Box Office Mojo, so if I missed names, I am sorry in advance, boys. I am sorry. Let's see. For the box office numbers, the opening weekend was 117,027,000. The domestic totals were 334,201,000.
Yeah.
And the worldwide box office total for this movie, 880,166,000.
Yeah, people were waiting for Spidey to come back home. It makes sense.
Oh, I got the name now! I finally get it!
Oh, hey!
Of course.
I did the thing.
Of 2017, this is number 6. Ryan, what movie was this behind? Take a guess.
What was it, 2016?
Yep. I'll give you a hint. We just talked about it like literally a minute ago.
Wait. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my memory is amazingly bad. I belong in a retirement home. Hint, hint.
That movie would be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Jumanji.
Golly! Okay. Yeah, damn it.
And it was above 2017's surprise horror movie hit, It.
Was it really a surprise, though?
I was surprised that a remake of that movie would have done so successfully. Like, I thought it would do fine, but I didn't think it was going to be, like, top 10 of the year.
People want to see creepy clowns, man. I don't know why. I don't get it.
Of the MCU, it is actually number 7, just below Guardians 2. I wrote down Guardians 3 in my notes, and I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a 2. Yeah. With that, gentlemen, are you guys ready for a synopsis?
I am always ready for these, man. Just sit back, try not to laugh too hard, and be sure not to drink anything during, because you will regret it later.
All right.
Good to know.
All right. I actually had this written down here, so keeping this short because we've already done this episode of Homecoming, but if you want to see it, there's a link in the description with everything else, and here we go. Spider-Man Homecoming follows the events of Peter's life after returning from the battle in Civil War. He's given a fresh new suit and being told to follow Tony Stark's vague advice while reporting to Happy Hogan, who is absolutely terrible at the world's easiest job. Peter swains into New York, waiting for a chance to prove himself when dudes with weird tech cause a little bit more trouble than he can handle himself. These men, led by the man who was the Bat, Michael Keaton, have been illegally dealing in alien tech, like in Luke Cage, to make ends meet without drawing attention of the feds or Stark until that meddling spider guy showed up. Failing to balance his high school responsibilities with his Spoder Boy activities, Tony Stark arrives on the scene to clean up a well-intentioned mess and give him a good talk like his daddy would have done. But when Peter is at his lowest, he stumbles into the man who was the Bat on the way to the dance that is the title of the film. Threats are exchanged and Peter decides he must not give up his spodering ways. He fights Static Shocker and battles it out on a plane with the Birdman. Sick of these memes on his plane, Peter kicks Batman out of the Mile High Club just in time for an emergency landing. Bruce Wayne is sent to jail to tease the next sinister movie with a number in the name. Peter is offered a chance to be an Avenger, but turns it down because he hasn't leveled up his Spidey sense yet. Infinity War's coming, boys. Just you wait.
I love it. I love it.
That's good stuff.
I'm surprised how much mileage I got out of that with how short it was, but I'm proud of that.
Oh man, now I know you made a lot of references to Michael Keaton being Batman, but I also want to point out that he was the lead actor in the 2015 Academy Award-winning film.
I actually did mention Birdman once.
Birdman.
Did mention it once. I do feel bad though. I didn't mention Beetlejuice. I should have done that at least once. I feel horrible. I know, right? Gotta say it only once.
Don't say it
That's
3 times.
We're only on one. We're only on one. We're still safe. We're still safe.
We're still safe. Oh, okay.
God, good movie. Good movies.
Oh man. Yeah, no. As soon as I saw Birdman, I was like, oh my god, if he slayed the Vulture, this would be fantastic. I called it.
I still want Michael Keaton to play old Bruce in a Batman Beyond movie. I would pay out the nose for that.
You know my feelings on that. Absolutely.
All right, but
100%.
let's talk about Spider-Man here, boys. Let's talk about Spider-Man. So Spider-Man Homecoming. What do you guys think? Good, bad, middle, all over the place? Excelsior. What do you guys think?
Well, Robbie, we always like to. We usually like to let our guests talk a little bit first, so that we can get some. We can bounce some fun ideas off of it. So tell us, what do you think?
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. Well, first off, I have to mention this because, like, growing up with the Spider-Man cartoon, Aunt May is this old lady that is, like grandma-like, right? And then you have fucking Marissa Tomei, who's still hot as shit in her 50s, as Aunt May. Like, I know you saw that in Civil War, but it's, like, hard to still get over that, Like, I'm like, Aunt May's not supposed to be hot. Like, this this doesn't work.
Are you not a fan of hot Aunt May?
No, I am a fan of it, but it kind of distracts you from the movie, You're like, God damn it.
Yeah, that was a problem I have with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, too, a little bit, and they just got worse.
Yeah. Yeah. We're turning the wrong direction.
Next reboot, they're going to make her like a fucking 15-year-old chibi Japan girl. So kawaii.
Exactly. No, like, I really enjoyed it. I think, Ryan, you talked about this when you did the Civil War podcast. The thing that makes Spider-Man great is, like, he's like one of us, even though he has superpowers. He's down to earth type of hero, and I feel like Tom Holland did a good job of showing that boyish fun that Spider-Man's supposed to be, especially when he's in high school. Like, how fucking cool would it be to have these powers when you're 16 years old, So, like, I thought that was great. And this movie, the villain, Michael Keaton, I'm a big fan of anyway, but, like, I felt like you could relate to the villain too, so it made that even better. Compared to other movies, like, even though I love Guardians of the Galaxy, Ronan the Accuser,
Nope.
like, you can't relate to that guy, but Michael Keaton's Vulture, you can, So
I think this is definitely the first movie where Marvel steps up their villain game. It maybe not the first, but it's one of the most memorable ones.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah.
Damn.
And like, I thought it was cool, like, bringing Tony Stark back into this, since they already had this relationship from Civil War, like that opening montage of him, like, recording it while he's falling around happy, and then you have the while he's fighting, Captain America, you have this camera in the background. He's like, oh my god, that's so fucking cool. Like, that would be me, like, high school Spider-Man. I would do the exact same thing, because you're like, it's fucking Captain America. Are you serious? Like, so I thought that was really cool too. We'll get to my negative thoughts on it later, I'm sure, when we talk about that, but overall, I really enjoyed the movie.
All right. Well, first off, let me say how awesome it is to have a guest who actually listens to our older podcast. Oh my god, I'm smiling like from ear to ear as soon as he said, "Well, Ryan, you actually referenced da 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 da." Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
But alas.
Ryan, we have to be professional now. He's actually listening.
Man, no, he's really cool. Okay. I mean, no, I wholeheartly agree with everything you said. I feel like this is the first take on Spider-Man to really get him right, and there's always been the tendency to, like, get directly to the serious stuff that Spider-Man goes through in movies, and he deals with a lot of really serious shit, but the movies tend to miss, like, the geeky kid Spider-Man that actually has to deal with, the perils of being a teenager and, like, not really knowing how to be cool and talking far too often, and I feel like they knocked it out of the park on that one as well. Yeah.
I want Tom Holland to be a squeaky voice teen in the next movie.
His voice is pretty damn high. I mean, already. But
I want to see him go through the squeaky voice teen phase where he's, like, getting a little deeper, but not quite there, and so he's like, "Oh no, my girlfriend will kill me."
He does get referred to as having a girl voice in the movie, if you remember.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, because Aaron Davis' character, the Prowler, actually says, yeah, you had a girl voice, like when they have their interaction by the car when he's questioning him.
Activate.
He's like, no, the guy I know, he had a girl voice.
Activate ultimate interrogation mode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god! I felt like I was watching. An episode of CW's Arrow when he was talking in that. So I'm like, come on, you are not Stephen Amell, please.
It has that vibe a little bit, yeah.
Oh my god! But I want to go back to actually what you said about Adrian Toomes being relatable. I definitely agree in the fact that like this is the first one of the first Marvel movies that really did a very relatable villain. I was able to relate to Zemo in Civil War as well, but not as much. Whereas they really made Toomes a very grounded character. Like, you start off from his point of view at the very beginning of the movie, where he's just a normal union guy who's got this big job for his crew, and he's put a lot of money into doing all of this, and he gets screwed over by like the bigger things that are moving around him, and so it really centralizes the conflict on like the smaller guys and like what happens when like the people that aren't really on this like higher plane get kind of smushed around like the tectonic plate shifting for socially. So I think it's really cool, and the design for Vulture was fan-fucking-tastic. I get excited every time I see the rig and the wings, and Michael Keaton is just boss. That's it.
It beats the only costume hands down.
I had a fantastic time every time I saw him on screen.
Yep.
To add to that, Ryan, not only is Michael Keaton genuinely one of the best MCU villains, and definitely one of the best Spider-Man villains we've seen, but can we talk about that twist where it's revealed that he's Liz's father?
The twist! It's the best twist.
When that came up in the movie the first time, I didn't see it coming. And when I saw it the second time, I saw it coming, but I'm like, I watched it, I analyzed it, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This is Marvel trying to do the Mandarin twist again, but doing it right. They're a twist that didn't exist in the original comics, and then giving it the MCU spin that makes it fit perfectly within the story.
Yep.
Yes.
I totally agree too. Like, I didn't see that coming. Like, that whole like Peter's like reaction to it is exactly how you'd react in that situation. You're just like, holy shit, this guy I've been following is my girl's dad, and like I'm trying to keep a straight face, but I can't because I might get, I don't know how to. And then like when they're in the car, and the way Michael Keaton plays that's so fucking good. Like he plays the dad, and like he's like, oh, concerned dad, and all of a sudden he turns around, and he's like, I'm gonna let this slide because you saved my daughter's life, but if you do anything else, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like it's such a boss move.
Boss.
Yeah, like you're just like, holy shit, this guy's a villain, man. But like you get it too, Like that was incredible.
It is top 3 twists in the MCU. Top 3.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like I can't even think of the third one. The first one is Civil War. Bucky killed Tony's parents.
Yeah.
The second one is this one. I'm not even sure what the third one might be, but goddamn.
The problem with the Winter Soldier twist is they kind of played their hand a little early with Winter Soldier, but I'm gonna let that one go. I
will put the Civil War twist over it because of how well it was laid and how much it affects the broader universe. Like, it was just a fantastically done twist, whereas this one was so subtle and so well laid that you didn't even really notice it, but all of the signs were kind of there, nothing pointing directly to it, but just small things, like, oh, Toomes has a family, he has a child, he has people he has to take care of, and just the just small little bits. And then the way that they they smack you with it, because I actually just finished my rewatch of it, and it comes like, you want to say 5 minutes, or like maybe 3 to 5 minutes in screen time after the ferry incident, where Peter like has his first major fuck up. He has to give the suit back, and he has to kind of deal with being a normal kid again, and he's reeling from that sadness. And then he's learning to be a normal kid again. He admits how he feels to Liz. He asks her on a homecoming dance. And you get this montage where he's finally starting to be a kid again. And you can tell that some weeks have passed, but it's paced so well that you're right there with him, and you're just going to be like, okay, we're about to go to this dance. Peter's going to have a normal high school experience, and oh, by the way, here's the vulture. Just deal with that. He opened the door. Here he is. All right, go. Yeah. I remember when I saw it in theaters, literally the entire theater gasped. It was, yeah. I can't tell you how many times this happened to me in real life, where everybody in the theater lost their mind because nobody saw it coming. I love it. This is the best twist. This is the best twist.
I'm just going to make a note for myself to put in the song from Persona 5, You'll Never See It Coming. Well, going off the villains real quick, though, I want to point out one thing this movie does right that Sony has struggled to get right every time they've done it. Mm-hmm. This movie has a lot of villains in it, if you guys hadn't noticed. It has the Prowler, it has the Tinker, it has...
Two Shockers.
Two Shockers, Vulture, it has so many... It's Scorpion, a little bit.
Yep.
They have so many villains in here. And they even have Ned, who is in the comics eventually the Hobgoblin. I don't know if they'll ever do it, but he is there. There's a lot of setup for all these different villains for a Sinister Six possibility. Sony's been trying to do this for several films, and they have never been able to balance the idea of more than one villain in a movie. They've fucked up in Spider-Man 3. Amazing Spider-Man was equally as hard to put together. And here they do it with almost no effort at all. It feels like it's just, oh, hey, yeah, here it is. And it's like, oh, wow, this is good. How'd you do it?
Well, I feel like their success was because they focused on one major villain, but they laid the seeds for damn near the rest of Spider-Man's rogues gallery.
I agree.
I feel like no other comic book cinematic company has realized that you don't need to smack people in the face with your Easter egg. Like, oh, hey, by the way, this guy is this guy. Like, your fans are fans. They're gonna get it. And if you do it subtly, then they'll have that great reaction where it's just like, oh shit, that's fucking Scorpion. Oh my god. Oh man, and that guy, and oh my god, that's the Prowler. Like, so as opposed to having people watch a YouTube video on screen about the next 4 heroes that you're gonna do a movie on. I'm looking at y'all, DC. I'm looking at y'all.
Look, Riot. The Flash video has 12 likes now.
It doesn't take all that. And Marvel's done a really good job of having the big set pieces and doing the focus where it needs to be, but also putting those small little tidbits that the fans are going to get. And by making them like actually have to pay attention to it to get it, as opposed to smacking them in the face with it, everybody feels better about finding it.
Really hope I then keep that pace going for the next Spider-Man. Really do.
Oh god, so good. So good.
Well, and to go on what you're saying, Ryan, like, I think that's what led to this deal, is Sony realized that they didn't have a fucking clue what they're doing to do. No, I'm just being honest, like,
no, I agree. I've said that for years.
I mean, think about the Amazing Spider-Man. They were trying so hard to set up the Sinister Six. It's like, we don't need to get there yet. We can just, plot along, have a villain here, and just slowly build it. But they just kept hitting you over the head, like, we're doing the Sinister Six. We're doing the Sinister Six. Like, they were just trying so hard for that, and they didn't need to. And then this movie, you subtly hint at that with having Matt Gargan with his, scorpion tattoo on his neck. Like, us fans get it, but they didn't have to say, hey, this guy's going to be the Scorpion. Alert, 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 So, It's you hit a nail on the head, Ryan. Like, it's perfectly set up where we get it, but like even the
It,
casual fans don't need to. You know what I mean? So
it kind of reminds me of Batman Begins a little bit, not to the same extreme, but like remember at the end of that movie where they said that someone's broken out of Arkham and Gordon hand Batman a Joker card. That's all you need. That was perfect.
That was awesome. I geeked out hardcore back then because that was before any of this Marvel Universe stuff. So
I feel like I feel like, and I know we've had this conversation in the past, Aaron, and so that which is why I'll only briefly touch on it. But I feel like the DC Cinematic Universe and Sony, they all kind of fall into the same trap where they're looking at the success of the MCU and they're like, oh my god, there's so much money to be made here. We gotta hurry up. We gotta hurry up and get to that level. So I'm gonna put out this one movie and lay the seeds for 8 other movies right now. Whereas Marvel, who has been doing this for 10 years now, they know how to subtly lay things and like not overload people. Just like, okay, let's do one story, let's do that story fantastically, and let's put small little bits that might lead to what we're gonna do later on. And as people find them, people will be really, really interested in what we might do. I mean, you have no idea how long I was geeking out as soon as they dropped Stephen Strange's name in Winter Soldier. Those movies are like 4 years apart, and as soon as it happened, I was like, that's it. Oh my god, Doc Strange, magic's coming. I'm good for 4 years. I'm just waiting for it now.
Dude, Nick Fury at the end of Avengers. I mean, come on.
That's it. Like, literally, movie 1. I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. That's it.
That was it.
All you need. Everybody knew. Everybody had so many high hopes of what they could do, and it spun up so much buzz from one movie and one fucking line that the MCU was like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. We're at least doing phase 1 because everybody's so amped, so we at least have to do 5 or 6 movies. Oh shit, well people really like this. Okay, well let's do some more movies. Oh shit. And that's how you have 10 years of successful comic book movies. As opposed to hitting people in the face with it.
I want to remind you, Ryan, that there's another universe out there you failed to mention. It is the Universal Dark Universe. Oh, wait, sorry, it's gone. Never mind.
We got one movie? That Tom Cruise movie?
Rest in peace,
Dracula Untold was supposed to be the first one. And then they're like, really? No. Well,
that failed so hard.
Yeah. If you remember at the end of that movie, they had like a kind of like after teaser to try to set up this movie monster universe, and like everybody forgot about it. And, like,
you know what's sad though? Man. What's sad is back in like the 30s or whenever those movies originally came out, that was the original universe. They did it. Yeah. Why is it so hard now?
Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, all hanging out, man. At movies together, doing crazy shit.
In the 30s, 1930s.
In the 30s.
God. Well, you have to put out good movies to do that. I feel like that's
true.
That's a key requirement to set up a big.
How much better would The Mummy have been, the Tom Cruise one, if it had just been like a long distance sequel from the original Mummy trilogy we already had? I'd have been down for more Brendan Fraser. Get it back in work. Why not?
Well, no, the
original Mummy was baller. Yeah.
Yes, the original Mummy movies were fantastic, and if we had just gone back to that universe and done them dudes, I'd have been all in for it. But then they're just like, nope, we're gonna tell a whole different story, and Tom Cruise is the guy for some silly ass reason.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man.
Back to Spider-Man.
So Spider-Man is how you do these things correctly. You do small, subtle hints. Like you make an amazing movie that everybody can enjoy. your fans of the comics will get the subtle things you throw at them. Your casual people have friends that are comic book geeks that will say, oh, well, you know, they also set up this, this, and this, so this is really cool, and they might do this movie, and da-da-da-da-da, and that's how you drum up a buzz for the next 6 movies, as opposed to smacking people in the face with it. I'm going to keep saying that because that's how I felt when I saw Batman vs. Superman. I felt like I was slapped in the face. Like, oh, by the way,
you were.
we're going to do Justice League.
That was Warner Brothers slapping their dick all over you.
I'm like,
That was Warner Brothers getting their dick out, Ryan, just slapping you with it. Like, hey, you like that? Here's more movies. Take them.
Man. Stamp.
So, a few minor positive notes I want to add in here before we move on to the negatives real quick. First off, I love how they showed how ineffective web slinging was outside of New York City, because that's beautiful.
Yep. Web slinging through the suburbs was fantastic. Absolutely.
Oh, Robbie disappeared.
Robbie, no!
Robbie, come back!
Robbie, come back! You can blame it all on me. Sorry.
You actually have a better voice. I'm glad you did that.
We're still recording.
Oh, wait. There he is. Add to call. He disappeared on us. I wonder what happened. I wonder if it was a power outage or an internet connection.
He may be dead.
He might have been killed. Vulture might have gotten him.
Damn. Adrian!
For all the Adrians out there, we blame you.
Yep. It's all your fault.
Hopefully there's one person listening is named Adrian, so that way they'll freak out when they hear that.
Maybe that Adrian will respond to our listener question and start a dialogue, Adrian. I'm looking at you. Write something back.
Robbie disappeared on me. I wonder what happened. Let me message him on Facebook real quick and see.
Robbie, no!
Well, I'll finish my brief point real quick before, while we're... Oh, wait,
there
it is.
Whoop.
Sorry, my internet jumped off. My bad.
Hey, it's fine. It happens
Hopefully I didn't
at
miss
least
too
once
much.
a week.
Yep.
But no, so I was just talking about the spider web slinging outside of New York being awesome. It was a nice little twist on the idea that we haven't seen yet. And it kind of reminds me of the fact that I live in Des Moines, Iowa, where there's no tall buildings, so Spider-Man would never have any power here.
I have to admit, when that happened, I laughed for like 2 minutes straight, because it was like, it's something I always thought about, like reading the comics as a kid, and then like in the cartoon, I'm like, there's not that many tall buildings, like, and then that happened. So
yeah, and then the other positive point I wanted to hit on real quick is that this is a very interesting, unique, and actually it has a good stride to it, an arc for Tony Stark. We complained in Iron Man 3 about his arc being all wrong and all inconsistent. Here, he takes responsibility, he becomes an adult, he becomes a pseudo-father figure. He actually has a really good twist to his arc, and while I don't want him to be a big part of the movie, he did a good job with what he had. I liked it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were worried that, like, as soon as you saw, like, Iron Man in the first, like, big trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming, they're like, oh god, it's gonna be Spider-Man and Iron Man, the movie.
Iron Man 5, here we go.
Iron Man 5, let's do it. Da-da-da-da-da. But no, I'm really glad. I'm glad that they kept his role that minor, and I'm also glad that they used it to, do something different with Tony's character! Hey, I'm looking at you, Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
It's like,
they had those problems.
Like, man, y'all didn't do nothing with his story. Okay, anyway. Fantastic. I loved it. And in Homecoming, I loved Tony's argument.
Those are my positive notes for that. I could go on, but let's go to negative, unless you guys have any positive stuff that we've missed that you want to add.
It was really good.
It was really good, and I thought it was cool, like, at the end, in that, like, kind of after scene when it was the Vulture and the Scorpion in jail when they're walking by each other. I thought it was really cool that Vulture kept the secret, Peter's secret. I I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, why? So we can probably discuss that more. But I thought that was a cool little thing of him just keeping the secret and them showing that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like a personal vendetta where only he gets to kill Peter, or if he is going to try to protect him. That's a very interesting line of discussion.
I honestly think it's neither. I mean, they made Toombs's like one of his core character fucking
Traits?
Traits. Thank you, because I can't words today. They made one of his core character traits kind of that sense of honor. It's just like, he's willing to go to crazy extremes to protect the people that he cares about, absolutely. But you also realize that he has that sense of honor, that sense of respect, where he's like, look, you're fucking up my shit, but you saved my daughter. I can't not acknowledge that, so we're just gonna clean the slate. And he kept giving him chances to walk away. It wasn't the fact that Peter was 15. It was the fact that you saved my daughter. I have respect for you on that. And I feel like him not giving away Peter's secret in prison was because Peter went out of his way and almost died to save him at the end. Like, even though it was him. Yeah.
It might also be, too, that he's not sure how much connection Peter and his daughter are going to have after he's in jail. He may be looking out for his daughter on top of that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's possible. That. Yeah.
So, that's it.
Ryan, anything else you want to add before we get on to the few negatives we're gonna point out?
It's just super cool. It's just super goddamn cool.
All right, well, Ryan, I'm going to be the contrarian, like I always am, and bring down some hard points here.
Here we go.
So first off, I am not a fan of the new suit.
Really?
Visually, it's impressive. I'm not going to say it's not. I think I like the eye thing. I like just how it looks. I don't like the AI in the suit. I miss Peter having a self-made suit, like back in the old movies, like back in the comics. It showed his creativity, his ingenuity, his ability to make his own stuff. Having Tony hand it down to him, I understand in the context of this film works. I don't necessarily care for it. It just makes him kind of feel like an Iron Man Jr.
That's definitely fair. That is like Robbie. I know you mentioned that you had some negative points in there, so I want to let you get in on that before I add that as well.
Aaron, you're not wrong. A thing that I love about Spider-Man is, like you said, like he's self-made. Like, he made his own suit. He created his own web fluid. Like, he did the science behind that. He created his own web shooters. Like, that's always been a part of his core character, and him having this bomb-ass Iron Spider suit, basically.
Now, I'll ignore the AI in the Iron Spider suit, because that makes sense.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, his original suit shouldn't be the Iron Spider suit. That should be separate, which we saw at the end of the movie, which that suit's awesome. But we can talk about that later.
Can't wait. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, even though they had the AI in the suit, I thought it was cool that they did this fun banter with Karen. You know, he gave her a name, and the death kill mode or whatever that was pretty funny too. So.
Oh, you had a lot of fun jokes.
Instant kill.
Something that stuck out for me. That's all.
Yeah. But no, I get it. Like, I find that as a negative too, because like you said, like, Spider-Man is self-made, you know, so I get it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's valid points. They're definitely valid points, and we can point to the comic book reasons as to why those decisions were made, and like how in the comics you have Spider-Man talking to himself a lot, and like talking to monologuing and doing like a kind of inner monologue thing. So giving him the AI to actually talk to made a little more sense. Just like also having the eyes be able to move as like kind of a tech function of the suit, like also allowed him to have the mask on while being expressive, which is really, really cool.
So glad they finally did that.
I mean,
too.
these are great things. These are small little additions that make a lot of sense. I do agree with you about I agree with you about the AI having like the crazy ass like, oh, here's all of your Spider-Man level 20 abilities where you have 500 some odd web combinations that you can do, and like it.
Hacks. I call hacks.
Yeah, I do like yes, he legit entered a cheat code and access to the level 20 version of his suit, which I thought was funny. But yes, you're right. I do think it detracts from Peter's character a little bit. I will say that I think they tried to steer into that though, because after he did and unlocked all of those things, he had no idea how to use his suit after that, and like was really, really out of his depth. So it made it so that it wasn't just, oh well, he's automatically fucking overpowered and can kill anybody because the suit's powered up. And it also plays into the theme of how Peter, while really talented and really awesome and very heroic, is still just a kid. And he's not ready for the full-on craziness of heroics, which I thought was a really cool parallel to mean that he's really not, to show by saying he's really not ready for the full-on capability of his suit. So he's not ready for the full mantle of Spider-Man. Not yet.
And I think this is why I was so appreciative, too, in the final act when he gets his old suit on, like the Scarlet Spider-looking suit.
Yeah.
That was really good. It did a good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I also like how they address they do a lot of interesting things with that suit being kind of a metaphor for other things, and just theming all over the place. And how when Tony takes the suit back and Peter's like, I'm nothing without the suit, and he says, well, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve to have it. You shouldn't have it. And how he has to like defeat this dude who's like could possibly put up a fight with like a lower ranking member of the Avengers, maybe. Like, but this
Hawkeye
guy,
for sure.
Hawkeye for sure. Maybe Falcon. He might give Falcon a real good aerial battle.
Dude, Falcon versus Vulture would be pretty sick.
That would be cool.
I pay to see that.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Live pay-per-view. It's Falcon versus the Vulture.
But they had him take on this dude that had been kind of kicking his ass even with the suit, and he had to do it on his own, like with the stuff. Like he had to be that ingenuitive, really heroic Spider-Man where it's just him, his wits, and his powers, and not any crazy tech. It's just him. So I felt that although there was the risk of the AI fucking up character, like Peter's character, I think they really addressed it in the movie.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
Y'all ready for my next one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright. While I fully understand Peter is overeager at his job and can tend to be obnoxious, I don't understand why Happy is so adamant against even talking to the kid when he's likely making more than 6 figures to do one of the easiest jobs in the whole damn world for one of the richest dudes on the planet. So many problems could have been avoided had he not been a dick.
Yeah, but I think that's just Happy's character, you know? Like, he's hung out with Tony for so long, that's just the way you act. You know what I mean? And he was so focused on moving the stuff from Avengers Tower upstate. Like, he's just like, this kid's, stupid, he'll figure it out, whatever, I guess that's the way I felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not that Peter, looking out for Peter was the only job. It was just like, it was an additional job. But I mean, I think you also see, you see some interesting character development from normal people that are close to superheroes, where you get and this was a big part of the most recent season of Jessica Jones, which we should definitely discuss later on.
Good season. I like it.
But
Yep.
The idea of normal people being around these superhero people, it can bring up some feelings of jealousy, resentment, and whatnot. I feel like Happy, while not jealous of Tony or anything like that, kind of maybe wanted a bigger role in helping out Iron Man. So perhaps like getting stuck with the babysitting job where like, hey, I found this 15-year-old kid and I just want you to keep an eye on him and keep him out of trouble. I can see where he would be a little pissy about that.
I,
Granted, it was kind of overblown, and Happy really felt like a dick after Peter, saved his ass at the end of the movie. But yeah, I definitely see where you're
I'm just saying, if Tony Stark exists and wants to pay me to look out for Spider-Man, I will do it for half the price that Happy's doing it. I guarantee you, I won't fuck it up like he did.
That's fair. That's fair.
Definitely fair criticism.
Then I have one last criticism I want to make, and then I'll open the floor to everybody else. So, do you guys watch CinemaSins at all? Or have you heard of it at all?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
So
Yeah, I haven't
basically, it's a
watched it
show where these two guys, or this guy at least, goes through the whole movie, giving out points for all these different problems he has with the movie, logical inconsistencies, continuity errors, etc. To a very small extent, Michelle kind of feels like an insert CinemaSins character. I feel like she exists as nothing more
Yeah,
than a
go
joke,
more into that.
and she kind of pulls me out of the film with her one-liners. It's a very small gripe, I know, but it's a gripe I have nonetheless.
I don't know. I like it. I like that they're doing a different spin on Michelle MJ. I like that. I like that they do a more realistic call to how teenagers act nowadays, and I think that kind of deadpan sarcasm is also a part of it, which I think is really cool. It's funny without being so over the top that it's really fucking obnoxious. Whereas like every time you see it, you're just like, ugh, here we go again. Oh my god, this child. Whereas Ned, God bless him, I love him dearly. But there were so many times where I was just screaming at him because he was so obnoxious. It's just like,
I try to give him a pass, but I see what you mean.
Stop! It's like, Ned! Peter knows Spider-Man. Ned! What? What?
Yeah, that was Bush League, but like you get why Ned's so excited though. I mean, your best friend's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I'd be, peeing my pants too like Ned, but
And
he got to be the guy in the chair, so that's pretty cool. That's all he wanted.
This is by no means a gripe against Ned. I love Ned's character.
Yeah.
It was obnoxious, but it was
That's
perfect
true.
for Ned's character. It was absolutely understandable. He was that fucking pumped that his boy was Spider-Man. But coming back the long way around, I like what they did with Michelle. I like that she's such a departure from the normal Mary Jane.
Oh no, I'm
know.
down for an alternate take on Mary Jane by any means. I just kind of want her to feel more like a character and less like a joke.
I'm sure they're gonna develop her more in Spider-Man 2.
I hope so.
I feel like because Liz was such the focus in this movie, it made sense that kind of Michelle is just like kind of off on the side and just popping out every now and again like, you guys are losers. Like, I made this drawing of you. You're super sad. Haha. And that's it. But we'll definitely get some more. We'll definitely get some more from her in the sequels. Just kind of like Gamora in Guardians 1, where you don't see a whole bunch of her, but you know there's going to be more there.
Yeah, I agree. Are we gonna talk about like? You think that's going to be their take on MJ, or was that just like funny
I've heard
Easter egg?
conflicting reports. The last one I heard was that she is not actually going to be MJ, like Mary Jane MJ. But I don't know if that means they're going to not do Mary Jane entirely, or if they're just doing this as a joke, or what. It's a little unclear at the moment.
Yeah, I was confused by that too. Like because even if it's a different take on MJ, why wouldn't they call her Mary? And still have the same name, but. That's just a minor quip, I guess, but
I don't know. I think they're I think what they mean to say is that they're not gonna have like Mary Jane as we know her, but
Yeah.
that I think Michelle is going to be a character that can kind of fit that role in this new telling that we're doing of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just
That
some
makes
like
sense.
somebody that fills that role but is her own separate character. Like you'll have harkenings of MJ, but she's not Mary
Mm.
Jane. And I'm fine with that. Honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I am too, as long as they flesh out her character
Yeah.
a bit more. That's all I'm asking.
They will. I have faith. I have faith in our MCU overlords. They know how to tell a story by now. I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
Yeah. I think you're right. They'll definitely flesh that out more in the second one.
So
I
as
agree.
for gripes on your guys' end, what do you guys think? Is there anything I missed that you guys wanted to touch up on?
Robbie, go ahead.
So I initially liked that they didn't like do the whole Uncle Ben storyline, right? Like we've seen that so many times in the earlier movies, like they beat us over the head with it. However, a big part of Peter's character is, with great power comes great responsibility. Not that they needed to beat us over the head with it, but like there was times in the movie I felt like they could have had that like either come up in his head or something like that. But I don't know if it just would have confused the story a little too much, since Tony was kind of filling that role as his person being disappointed in him with having this great power. But I don't know, it just kind of bothered me because Uncle Ben's such a big part of who Spider-Man
I
is.
agree,
You know what I mean?
because there are two defining moments in the comic books for Spider-Man. And I think, Robbie, you know them as well as I do.
Yeah.
The first one is Uncle Ben, which sets him off on his journey to start with, and the other one is Gwen Stacy.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
yeah, to not I understand not doing Gwen Stacy because they just did Gwen Stacy, so
Just
stay
did
away
it,
from
yeah.
that. Stay the hell away from that.
Yeah.
But Uncle Ben, I'm not saying redo that whole thing because it's hard to do better than Raimi did. That's a really well-crafted, well-made scene.
Yeah, it's a powerful
But
scene, yeah.
at least a call out to it or something. I'm not saying that it broke the movie for me by any means, but it's a part of the mythos that's integral to who he is and how he becomes Spider-Man. I do think that something should have been there, in absence of nothing.
All right. If I may step to the podium to defend the absence of one Uncle Ben in this movie, I personally loved the decision, and I still do. And the reason why that I'm such a big fan of it is because dealing with the death of Uncle Ben, much like dealing with the death of Gwen Stacy, was like these are absolutely like big, heavy moments, defining character points for Spider-Man. Absolutely. That being said, Peter is 15, and I am okay with Peter not having to deal with his uncle's death as a consequence of his actions just yet. I think it's okay to kind of forego that story because we've heard it so many times, but also because it allows Peter to be a 15-year-old kid for a little while, and he still has to deal with big things affecting his decisions. He still gets to learn that lesson as well, but you can have I can't imagine him doing Uncle Ben's death and then still being the geeky 15-year-old kid who talks too much and is super excited just to be there because everything is so cool and everything is awesome, and oh my god, I'm a superhero and I'm fighting next to Iron Man, and oh my god. I can't see him going back to that after dealing with the Uncle Ben storyline. So
Yeah.
they hearkened. They didn't hearken to Ben directly, but they made small asides to Aunt May. I mean, when Ned finds out that Peter's Spider-Man, and he's like, because if you tell Aunt May, like, I can't put Aunt May through that again, not after what she's been through, and that's all they gave you. So there is tragedy there, but we're gonna let Peter be 15 for a little bit, and then in the second movie, possibly we'll start hearkening to that and let that tragedy affect how Peter grows up. But for now, let him be a kid. That's my take.
See, and I feel like you're not wrong. I feel like Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever they're going to call it, I'm going to call it Spider-Man Graduation. That's what I'm going to call it. I feel like I'm going to like that movie a lot more than I like this one. Not to say that I'm hating it,
Really?
but I think it's like Doctor Strange. I think you're introducing a lot of concepts here, and it's all cool. It's all good. I'd say it's definitely you got the basics of what we need. But I think the sequels to both Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Homecoming are going to take things to another level that I'm going to appreciate so much more because I'm going to look for that depth, that complexity. I don't want Spider-Man to necessarily be Batman-level dark, but I want him to be challenged. I want his character to go through an arc that means something. I think, and this goes back to what I said last week about my favorite Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 2 does a great job of this because it challenges Peter, not Spider-Man, it challenges Peter to make the decision of whether or not he deserves and wants to be Spider-Man. And he goes to this whole movie questioning what he wants, what he can do, what his responsibility really means, and ultimately makes a very empowering decision for himself. I'm looking forward to the next movie of Spider-Man. I'm hoping it has some notes of that. I don't know if it's going to be exactly like it, but I want to see something in that same kind of trajectory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with you there, but I would ask, do you not think that he had similar character growth and character development in this movie? Because I mean, he had with losing the suit, with being confronted by Toombs and realizing that, oh snap, this is the Vulture, and then having him realize that, oh shit, this kid is Spider-Man, and okay, so you're a hero, but you're also a kid. I'm gonna let you slide, but if you get in my shit again, I'm gonna have to kill you. And him ultimately making the decision between going and being a high schooler or doing the right thing and trying to stop this guy who is a bad guy. Like, I think, especially in the third act of the movie, he has to do a lot of that decision making and a lot of that soul searching. Granted, it's not like Gwen Stacy levels or Uncle Ben levels, but I still think they had Peter, not Spider-Man, but Peter also be challenged with some of those similar questions in this.
There is a key difference that I want to point out, and that difference is in this movie, Spider-Man is constantly making mistakes, well-intentioned, but but big mistakes that are putting people in danger. In Spider-Man 2, he wasn't really making mistakes, it's just that shit was being thrown at him from all these different directions he had no control over. And he had to question whether or not he wanted to pursue Spider-Man and continue living his life of never fulfilling what he wants to do and being successful and getting shit all the time, or does he want to just put that aside for now and try to live a normal, happy life where none of that responsibility is going to weigh on him. And I think, and this might just be because of how the movies are made, I think the Sam Raimi movie captured that perfectly, and if this movie is trying to do that, I don't think it's quite there, but I honestly think that this movie is maybe aiming for something a little different.
I would say so. You're right. I can agree with you there. Robbie, what do you think, please?
Well, and Ryan, you've talked about this before. Like, you know, a big part of Spider-Man is unfortunately all the darkness that he encounters. You know, with deaths, weird shit
Clone
like
Saga!
You know, deals with the devil, Clone Saga. Like, he has a lot of shit happen to him, and I think that's a big part of his character. And I get what you're saying. Like with this movie, like it's just fine to let him be a kid. And I guess the point I was trying to make is that in these big decision times in this movie, like I think it would have been neat to just give a subtle hint to that strong message he gets from Uncle Ben, because I mean he gets that before he even gets his powers was when Uncle Ben tells him that, you know.
You know what I mean?
You know what
maybe really cool actually. Now going off what you're saying here, when he's having that moment when he's just kind of trying to think about the decision he's making. Maybe he's in his room and he looks up and just sees a framed picture of Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and you just linger on it for like just a second, and it just gives you that connection. That would have been all I would needed. I would have been like, okay, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Like they don't have to show him dying. Like Aaron, you said, Raimi did a great job with how powerful that scene is. But like you're saying, just a subtle hint to like how powerful his connection is with Uncle Ben, and they probably will do that in the second movie. Like, I think it was just hard to introduce Spider-Man this late in the game to the MCU because of the Sony deal. Like, it would have been a lot better if we could have had Spider-Man a lot earlier, and we'd already have all this development, and we'd already be on the second or third movie and feel great about it. But here we are.
Copyright agreement.
To be honest, I think, I have a feeling that they're gonna do something different with the Uncle Ben storyline. It's not gonna be the normal "with great power comes great responsibility" line, which is why I think they were hesitant to throw an Uncle Ben tie there, because they kind of want to leave the door open for them to try something different with Uncle Ben, which I'm okay with. And I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely see where you guys are coming from with Uncle Ben being an integral part of Peter Parker and Spider-Man's character growth and development, even its onset. But I think they steered away from it because it's already been done a bunch of times, and also to leave the door open if they want to try something different. So I'm interested in seeing where they go with it.
That's fair.
Indeed. We've been talking about this movie for a while, and boys, I think it's time for a review roundup. What do you guys think?
All right, let's hear them. Let's see that.
Yep.
Before we get to that,
Gotcha.
is there any final thoughts before we move on?
I would say that if you haven't seen this movie, what the hell are you doing listening to the podcast? Stop! Go watch it. But aside from
I've got
that,
a friend who actually really likes Amazing Spider-Man the first, and I question him every day as to what he's thinking about there. I'm not saying you can't like it. You're free to like whatever you want, but how do you like that over Spider-Man the first three movies, or the Homecoming? I mean, come on, guys. Come on.
Whoa. Don't bring up Spider-Man 3. That movie never happened.
no.
You know what? I'm an apologist for Spider-Man 3. I don't think it's good. But it has a lot of good moments that are worth talking about. But that's for another podcast. We got Homecoming to finish up here.
man, Topher Grace.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Nope.
Yep. Separate podcast. So I could go on all
I'm
day.
by saying everything around Venom is terrible. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So review roundup, where we talk about the reviews that came out at the time of the movie's release. So let's start with one of our favorites, Tom Huddleston. If I can find him again, he's always just there he is. Another positive review. That's good to see. A welcome narrowing of the Marvel Megaverse away from alien invasions and globe-smashing supervillains and back towards something more intimate. 4 out of 5.
Alright.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, let's move on to another familiar face, David Edelstein, from the New York Magazine / Vulture. Ha! I get that one. Even those of us who regard the Marvel aesthetic as a plague on the world of cinema can find much in Spider-Man Homecoming to be charmed by. Well, in his defense, a lot of critics are really tired of the Marvel machine because, like game critics when it comes to Call of Duty, it's every year more superheroes, more of the formula, and I understand them being tired of it. I can understand it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. They're wrong.
I just realized I compared myself to a Call of Duty fan, and now I want to wash my hands of this nonsense.
Still not clean. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm scrolling through here, and I'm seeing only 2 negative reviews. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this top one. From Richard Brody of New Yorker. A strangely oblivious film, one that undercuts its story with exactly the sort of praise-hungriness that its hero learns to overcome.
Wow.
I did forget to mention the overall scores. It is 92% with the critics and 88% with the fans.
That's interesting. I'm surprised the fans weren't as clamoring about it.
I think the fan base of the Spider-Man movies is super divisive because of how many reboots there have been. Everyone's got their favorites.
Yeah.
But this one did it right.
I think for sure this one has the best Spider-Man Peter Parker combination.
Yes.
But as far as the best story, though,
Definitely.
like I said, I'm still a big fan of Spider-Man 2. That's my bread and butter right there.
Granted, Doc Ock just blew me the fuck away. Nah, I agree. Spider-Man 2 was
And
on
honestly,
it.
honestly, for me
Yeah.
personally, it's a close contest between this and Spider-Man 1, but that's because I have such a love for Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe!
Oh yeah.
William
Oh
Dafoe's
my
the man.
God. Yes.
And him as Green Goblin, like, maybe not so much as Norman Osborn, but his actually Green Goblin, like, psycho shit, awesome.
Yeah, no, that was like
Hands down awesome.
Willem Dafoe was the perfect person to play the Green
Yeah.
Goblin. They cast that man.
exactly.
You could have
spot
stopped
on.
with Willem Dafoe's the perfect
Yeah.
person. I would have just stopped you right there.
Yeah, I mean that. Where's the lie at? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the review roundup for this week. We're moving on to our next segment, which is the listener question of the week. But before we get to that, a quick news blurb. So this week's question of the week was, what's your favorite Stan Lee cameo? And just like the day or two before recording, a lot of news has been coming about Stan Lee's health and his family condition. Have you guys been keeping up on this at all?
Fucking train wreck.
Yeah.
That poor guy.
So, I will give a brief synopsis to what's going on because we're running a little long. So, according to various news outlets, the 95-year-old Stan Lee, whose wife died last year, has been signing off various paperwork to lawyers and stated that his 67-year-old daughter had trouble supporting herself and has often overspent. Basically, a lot of people are involved with Stan Lee's life right now, possibly controlling his assets, keeping him away from his family, and kind of just putting him in a really bad spot. There's apparently some reports from people going to conventions, too, where they go to get stuff signed by him, and his handlers are literally pointing out the paper for him and saying, write S-T-A-N, like, talking to him like he can't control himself or something. It's kind of giving the impression that he's A, not over the death of his wife, B, not over his pneumonia case from a few months ago, and C, he needs some sleep. He needs some rest. He needs to just go away and just enjoy the rest of his life while he can, and not be part of this bullshit.
Well, he's what, 95? Dang. Poor guy. Weren't they taking, like... Wasn't there some story about them taking, like, vials of blood from him or some shit? Like he's Dracula?
Like they're adding...
like
they're putting
weird
on
shit.
merchandise or some shit? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some
Weird stuff. Weird.
So, I just want to put this out there. We're going to talk about Stan Lee cameos, and I think we love the Stan Lee cameos. But here's my thing. Infinity War. I want it to be the last Stan Lee cameo. I know it won't be, but I want it to be. I want him to retire. I want him to rest. I want him to go and just enjoy what's left of his life, because the past years have not been easy for him, I don't imagine. With his wife being gone, with him being sick, with all of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
He deserves so much more, considering how much he's given the comic book community, this whole movie franchise. He's the reason a lot of this has happened. So, he deserves more than what he's getting, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I love seeing Stan in the movies. I absolutely adore it. But yeah, no, let him rest, please, guys. I am absolutely okay with Infinity War being like a grand send off to him. I swear, if they had saved him talking to the Watchers for Infinity War and had that
perfect.
been the end,
That would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect.
Perfect.
But
Shout out to...
at this point, yes, I believe.
Shout out to Kevin Smith, though. Did you guys hear about him offering for Stan to live with him?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I
mean, Kevin Smith is like one of the hugest fans. If he would probably give everything he owns to make sure that Stan Lee is cared for, for his remaining time. I absolutely believe.
Yep. So shout out to Stan. Shout out to Kevin Smith. Stan, get some rest, and I hope you feel better. I hope that whatever comes next for you, it's all good. With that in mind, and getting off this somber note here, we have some Stan Lee cameos to talk about.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there are lots of Stan Lee cameos. If you're including X-Men, Spider-Man, and a couple of other non-Marvel things, he's been in a lot of movies. So, gentlemen, I've decided I'm going to list 5 of them. I'm going to be very quick and brief with them. So if you have more than one cameo you want to bring up, go ahead. I think I know what my number 1's going to be, but I have like my top 5 picked. I ran through them all before we started. there's a lot of good stuff.
All
right. So who wants to go first?
Robbie, what do you think? Go ahead.
Well, you already mentioned one, Ryan. So the one in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, that was awesome. Like, him talking to the Watchers, like, it was just perfect. Like, top of the line. Another one I loved, obviously, was in Deadpool, just because it's funny. Him MCing at a strip club, always funny. And my third one's a non-Marvel movie, but I laughed when it happened. It's in The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, when he has the headphones on in the library and the lizard and him are fighting in the background. He's listening to the music and has no clue what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really great.
Interesting picks. Ryan, how about you? What do you got?
All right. Well, I mean, we're obviously going to have a lot of overlap. I loved the I loved the one where he's listening to music and Spider-Man and Lizard are fighting in the background, and of course he has no idea. I absolutely loved him as the army general in the first Captain America when he's like, I thought he'd be taller. Perfect. Absolutely. I love it. And
that's a good one.
Of course, The Watchers is up on my top list as well. And again, if they had saved it for Infinity War and had him chatting up the Watchers, act like as Thanos is fucking up the world, and he's like, yeah, but wait, there's more to come, or some shit. And they're like, yes, it was fantastic. I think my favorite cameo though is in Big Hero 6.
You know, I forgot about that one until I saw it today, and I agree, it's a pretty good one.
Oh yeah,
he is revealed as Fred's dad and an actual superhero. It was flawless. I think that's gotta be my favorite.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I've got my 5 here. You guys ready for this?
Let's hear
it. Number 5 is the Deadpool 2 teaser. It's short, it's brief, but I like it when his cameos are short and brief. Where he comes up and says, that's a cool outfit. And Deadpool's only response is, zip it, Stanley!
Great one.
Number 4, I agree with you boys. Watcher deserves to be in the top one. I think that it's unquestionably one of his best ones and has the most meaning behind it, so good work on that one. Number 3 is a surprising one. I didn't think it was going to make it, but I didn't remember it until I saw it recently. X-Men Apocalypse. I know this movie is not the best movie, without question, but this is the only Stan Lee cameo to also feature Joan Lee.
Really?
Yes.
It's when they hold each other, right?
And, and as soon as I saw this is one of the most beautiful ones he's done, I have to give this a mention. This is so good.
I forgot about that.
Man,
good call.
I gotta rewatch that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Going back to the more silly ones, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I do like his little drinking contest with Thor. I am sorry, but that's just, it's a good laugh.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Excelsior. And then my number 1, which surprised the shit out of me, because I didn't remember him being in it, Mallrats.
Oh yeah.
Dude, yes!
Yeah. That's when Stan talks to the other afterwards he tells his friend, he's like, he's really concerned about superheroes privates or something like or genitalia. Oh shit, that's a good one.
Oh my god, no.
He tells him like a Hulk comic storyline, right?
Like I said, I didn't expect it to be number 1, but I went through all the cameos just before the podcast. I'm like, you know what? This has to be the top one. No question about it. And he looks the healthiest in it, too. He looks like he's really alive in that one.
Now I really want to watch Mallrats. God damn it.
Those are some good cameos, boys. I think we did a good job with that one.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
Man. You know, if you want to participate in these awesome-ass questions, I'm talking to you, person who's listening to the podcast.
Not you, Robbie. You're already here.
You're more than welcome. Not you, Robbie.
I'm already here.
Robbie's already proven that he listens to the podcast. I'm looking at the rest of y'all. Go on ahead and answer the listener questions. We would love to hear you out. I mean, tell us, do you think we're dead wrong? Tell us you think you agree with us. Say something. We would love to engage you in conversation. Please.
And you can answer questions like this. So, originally, I was going to ask about X-Men and Fantastic Four, and what kind of storylines you'd like to see. However, I think Ryan and I kind of answered that a little bit a couple podcasts ago with some ideas we came up with. Like, you wanted to do Avengers vs. X-Men, I wanted to do Doom World. So we're kind of already on that one.
Ooh.
Plus, we didn't really get to the Marvel Fox buyout thing like I hoped we would. We kind of went longer than I thought we would and everything else. That's fine. That's fine. We have other podcasts we can do that with. Instead, the question's going to be a little simpler. What do you want to see for Spider-Man 2? Simple as that. Villain, storyline, put in whatever you want, guys. What is it you want to see for the next Spider-Man? I'm calling it Spider-Man Graduation because I don't know what else they'd call it at the moment. Go with that. Go with that. Tell us what you think, and we'll answer your answers in the questions listener question segment next week. You can leave an answer with us on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, or at our email. Ryan, what is that email?
That is evaxation@gmail.com.
Absolutely correct. You should get a point for that, but we're not on trivia yet, so just calm down.
Damn it.
So yeah, go ahead and leave us your answers there, and we will read them next week on the podcast.
Wait, I just got it. Spider-Man orientation.
That's not bad. It's not bad. So what's funny is, I already know what I want to see for the next Spider-Man movie. I could talk about it right now, but I'm holding up to next week. So we're gonna...
We'll wait.
That'll be fun. And luckily, Robbie, you'll be guesting on next week as well, so you can jump in on that question too.
Exactly, because we're talking about my other guy, Hulk.
Yes.
So I'm excited to talk about Ragnarok, but we'll get to that in a little bit, because we have another segment to do before we get to our list. That is everyone's favorite segment, the Trivia War.
Golly.
Now, Ryan, let me do the breakdown here. So, the Trivia War is when Ryan and I go back and forth asking each other different questions, easy, medium, and hard, to determine who the best Marvel lore-ster is. So right now, Ryan's ahead of me by 1 point. Ryan, you were doing pretty good this season, but I'm giving you stiff competition.
Oh, absolutely. I like it. I mean, oh, man. Excuse me. I had something caught in my throat there. The competition's been real good.
Now, Ryan, I do feel a little bad this week because the questions I picked, I had 2 lines of questions I was going to do, and I was going to give you a choice. I forgot to make the second line of questions. But in all fairness, I can save those for another movie because Jeff Goldblum's in so many movies. I could easily make more questions about him for later podcasts.
That's fine. Oh my God, Jeff Goldblum. He's the best. All right,
you put him in any movie. Ooh, him and Willem Dafoe in a movie. I'd watch that. Let's do it.
Oh man,
I would give all of my monies.
But no, my questions this week are all going to be tied to Ragnarok.
See, I'm down. I'm down.
So Ryan, are you ready for your first question?
Yep. Here we go.
Ryan, what is the key difference between Ragnarok in Thor and Ragnarok in Nordic mythology?
Okay. The key difference.
This might be a little harder than I originally intended, but I thought it was fairly simple. I might be off based on that one, though.
Well, you think I know a lot about Norse mythology. Okay.
I mean, you went to school and mastered in it, so I assume you did.
Yeah, that's what I mastered in, not music at all. Fame. Oh my God. All right. So, all right. Ragnarok in Norse mythology. I would say the big. Yeah, I would say the big difference, or at least the one that sticks out the most in my mind, aside from it being the end of the world and the end of everything, is that at Ragnarok, all of the warriors from Valhalla would be called to fight in the final battle in Norse mythology, whereas we haven't set up Valhalla or really have Valhalla at all in the MCU as of yet. So there are probably more differences in this.
You're right. I'll give you the point for that one. What I was actually going for is a little simpler. In the mythology,
is the fact that it's about Yggdrasil, the serpent at the base of the world tree.
In the mythology, Ragnarok is the end of the world. You got that. in the Thor comics, it's more like a cycle where it reboots Asgard every so often. So that's kind of the main difference I was going for.
Oh.
Yeah, little simple.
Okay. Technicalities. That's
like I said, you got a difference. I'll take it because it's actually a pretty solid difference.
Yeah.
Ryan, what is my easy question?
Alright, sir. So your easy question is pretty fucking easy. As it is a main tie from a very popular comic book storyline, which I'm glad that they tied into it. What is the name of the planet that the majority of Thor Ragnarok takes place on?
Oh, okay, I remember what you're talking about now. Sakaar, that's what it is.
Very good. Well played. Ding, 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 1 point for you.
I love Planet Hulk, that was so good.
Planet Hulk is the best.
Alright, according to Nordic mythology, Ryan, what is the first sign of the Doomsday event Ragnarok?
Oh no. Why do you do these things to me?
Ryan, I have to catch up by any means necessary.
Bruh. See, this is punishment for the first phase, or the first season of this, where all my questions were accidentally really, really difficult. And I'm sorry.
Payback.
It is. It's payback. It's absolutely payback. First sign.
I will give you a hint if you want it, but I'll wait till you say you want it.
Yeah, I'll take a hint. I'll take a
Okay.
hint, please.
It involves Loki, but I cannot tell you much more than that.
Man, you stumped me. I don't know. What is it?
Doomsday is triggered by Loki killing Balder.
Okay. Huh. Alright. Good, solid mythology question there.
Yep.
Hitting me in the face with you're hitting me in the face with the real folklore, man. We're here to talk about comics, god damn it. Alright, are you ready for your medium question?
I think I am.
Alright. So it's actually funny that you should bring up Loki. Because in the first act, early in the first act of the movie, we find Loki in his Odin guise, having a grand old time and watching a play with the heroic telling of the death of Loki in Asgard. Who is the uncredited actor who plays Loki in the stage play?
So I ran through all the names in my head as you were going over the questions. I'm like, I know he's going to ask who's in the play, and I had to remember who Loki was. I believe it was Matt Damon.
Ding, 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 ding. That is 2 points for you, sir. Well done. Well played.
Yep. All right, Ryan, my hard question for you, and I apologize for my questions this week.
Jerk.
Last one, according to Nordic mythology, Ryan. How does Odin die during Ragnarok? And again, I will give you a hint if you need it, but I have to be a little careful with this one, because I could give it away, too.
Oof, duh. You honestly thought I was really well versed in my Nordic mythology, huh? My Norse mythology. I do not know. Honestly, I do not know.
No hints for you at all?
Well, give me a hint. Let me see if I can.
Alright, he is killed in battle. Who is he killed in battle by?
Well, I assumed it was in battle, Aaron. Thanks. Thanks, bruh. Damn, honestly, I don't know. You got me. Who is he killed by?
He's killed by, and I believe it's Loki's son in the mythology, Fenrir.
Really? Wait, I thought Fenrir was the Great Wolf.
Yeah, somehow Loki gives birth to a wolf, or at least he sires a wolf. I'm not sure how that whole works. Mythology is weird.
Yeah.
Wait, for real? Huh.
Alright, man. Well, you got me. You got me. It's not me there.
Yep. I had a good week this week.
You did. are you ready for your hard questions?
I am, Ryan. Go ahead and give it to me.
Alright. So after Thor confronts his brother Loki as the imposter that he is on Asgard and asks where the fuck is father at, he says, well, I stashed him on Midgard. And it turns out to be a retirement home that's in the middle of being demolished. What is the name of the retirement home that Odin was supposed to be at?
Son of a bitch. I don't remember that name.
Yeah, fuck you! Do it!
I assume it has like the name retirement community in there somewhere, but I don't remember what it was called specifically. I'm gonna just make up a name. I'm gonna say it's like fucking Bear Grylls retirement community.
Bear Grylls retirement community. Is that your final answer?
That's the best I come up with. Go ahead. What is it?
The name is actually Shady Acres.
Shady Acres. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I was
so
originally.
you didn't just run away with
what's
it.
funny? I was originally gonna say Shady Oak, but I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right.
I would have given you partial credit had you gotten Shady Oak.
All right, so we have a guest this week, Robbie. Do you have any bonus questions you want to throw our way this week?
The only question I had for you guys is in the Thor comics, there's a guy by the name of Beta Ray Bill who does pick up Mjolnir at one point. What is the name of his weapon that he ends up wielding later?
Ryan, since you are behind, I'll have you take the first hit on that one.
I'm fairly. I want to make sure I've got it right. I'm fairly certain it's Stormbringer. I'm gonna go with that as my final answer.
It is actually Stormbreaker.
Damn it! Ah!
You were close, though.
To be fair, I would have said
Close.
Stormbringer as well. I thought that's what it was.
Yep, Stormbreaker. My guy Beta Ray Bill with his horse face.
I hope for a cameo of Beta Ray Bill at some point. Like, not the statue we got in Ragnarok, but like an actual, like...
Yeah.
Actually, funny...
Yeah, we got that little side. We got that little side cameo, a little statue cameo.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him.
Actually, what's funny, though, and I'll bring it up next week, too, Thor kind of is Beta Ray Bill by the end of the movie, isn't he? Because he's leading his people off planet to find a new home, and he's kind of guarding them as, like, their protector.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, more or less.
So, I mean, he's kind of just taking that role, so it's interesting how that all got flip-flopped. Anyway, get distracted here. We have one final segment, the list, where we determine what the best Marvel movie is, ranking them all from best to worst. Right now, the top of our list is Guardians of the Galaxy #1, holding strong, though it has had some fierce competition, and bringing up the rear is Iron Man 3. Last week we ranked Guardians of the Galaxy as number 3, just behind Civil War. Spider-Man, Homecoming. Where are you guys wanting to put this?
Can you throw up the list one more time?
Yep,
in the chat?
I forgot because we were a little behind on that one. Hang on a second. So Ryan, I'll let you discuss first while I put it up here. So let's see.
Ooh. So this is. It's difficult because as we're getting and we talked about this last week about how as Marvel's gone on they're making such better and better movies that the bar keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And we had that last week where the idea of where to put Guardians 2 was so crazy because the top 5 literally have such strong reasons for being the top 5 for both Aaron's criteria as well as my own, and which is very interesting because we come at it from different ways of looking at the list. That being said, as much as I love this movie, and I adore it, I absolutely adore this movie, I don't think it's top 5. I think it's really, really, really well done, but I don't think it's top 5.
Ryan, normally I'm contrarian with you. Normally I try to disagree with you, but I actually am in a similar boat. I like this movie a lot. I think it hits a lot of good strides. But I don't think it has the same weight and impact like the other movies in the top 5 do. I think it definitely is trying, and it definitely makes up for a lot of the lesser Spider-Man films we've had in recent years. But I don't think it catches up to Guardians and Civil War and the other heavy hitters here, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I feel like ultimately, and I say this with no disrespect intended, but I feel ultimately it's a filler movie. It doesn't add anything like crazy to the MCU. It lays some seeds, and it does a really good job of letting Peter Parker be Peter Parker and really be enjoyable. But as far as like overall like emotional depth and impact, it's not super heavy. And as far as like affecting the 10-year saga that is the MCU at this point, it doesn't really do that either. I ugh, the I'm
And I'll
looking
add
at
to
the
that too. Like I said earlier, I think
yeah,
the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Graduation, like I said, I think it has the ability to outrank this movie and show us what they can really do when they buckle down. Like, okay, we've gotten it all set up, we've got a good story, now we're gonna mess with some fucking heads, and I think they're gonna do really good that next
definitely, definitely. So my current as I'm staring at the rankings right now, my current thought, and again, not saying anything bad about the movie, but my current thought is to put it at number 7 under Iron Man.
Ooh,
Strictly,
shit.
strictly because numbers 1 through 6 are benchmark movies in the MCU. Like I can't sit here and tell you it was better than Iron Man. I can't tell you it was more influential than Avengers or Doctor Strange. It definitely wasn't as hard-hitting as Civil War, and it wasn't as like awe-inspiring or encompassing as Guardians. So I put it at number 7.
So before I respond, I want to hear Robbie's thoughts on this one.
Ryan, I 100% agree with you. Like you said, like the list you guys have for 1 through 6, like there's a reason that they're there. So I would put Spider-Man around 7. That sounds fair.
Oh man, you know what's funny, Ryan? This is
What?
the first time in like several podcasts we've had a unanimous agreement on the ranking.
No way!
I thought I was going to.
No.
I thought I was going to argue, saying, "Listen, guys, it's not as good as Avengers. It's not. Here's why." But no, I'm impressed. We actually all have on the same boat. That yeah, it's good, but just not to the level of Iron Man, Avengers, or any of the other top 6.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I like there was a part of me that wanted to put it over Iron Man, but it wasn't as good as Iron Man. It was fantastic, and it told its own story fantastically well. But when you're looking at Iron Man, when you're looking at how fantastic of a movie it is as a standalone, when you look at all of the stuff it actually laid the groundwork for, and the fact that it was the first real movie in the MCU that hit a fucking home run at its first up at
I mean, we still talk about it.
God
I mean,
damn, you can't. You can't. You
Yeah.
can't say it's better than that unless it has some serious weight behind it. So yeah,
Yep.
I stand by it. 777 across the board. Fucking put that shit up.
That's
It's the shortest discussion we've ever had.
That's impressive. That's most impressive. All right. So that probably won't happen next week because next week is Thor Ragnarok, and I'm gonna say it's good competition. I can't say it's the best, but it's good
Yeah.
competition.
I'm gonna have words about this.
Oh,
movie.
really?
I'm
Oh,
gonna
really?
have words about it.
Well, for those of us who are listening and want to answer with your own top movie, there's only like 2 left, guys. So participate if you can. Let us know what your favorite movie is in the comments below on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, or our email evacstation@gmail.com, and we will read your answers to what you think the best Marvel movie is. And next week we are going to be lighting up and going all the way into the cosmos with Thor Ragnarok to watch the end of the world and just see everything burn. Gentlemen, are you excited for next week?
Absolutely.
I'm stoked.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm also glad that Robbie's going to be joining us next week. Normally, this is where I would say, well, thank you so much for coming on with us and saying our goodbyes and whatnot. But I'm really, really stoked that you're going to be joining us next week, Robbie. You're a fantastic guy to have on as a guest. mostly because he listens to the podcast and responds. Guys, answer the questions, please. We like to talk to you too. Anyway, no, but I can't wait till next week. It's going to be a fantastic movie, and I've got 2 fantastic guys to talk about it with, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, man. This is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to next week, and Thor Ragnarok was a movie I really, really enjoyed when I watched it the first time, and I'm going to rewatch it this weekend to prepare for next week, so it should be fun.
Oh, yeah, it's so much fun.
It'll be interesting. I get to be the contrarian next week. Yay!
All I can say, Ryan, is don't hurt my Jeff Goldblum. He never hurt you.
No. Jeff Goldblum is sacred territory. I will never say a nasty word about that man.
If anything negative that's said, we're going to have Jeff Goldblum in a little bubble, and none of it affects him. Just so everyone's clear.
Yes. He is blameless in this entire movie, and everything about him is perfect.
Well, with that, I am Aaron.
I'm Ryan.
And
I'm
thank
Robbie.
you for watching, and we'll see you after the credits.